So another thing that I learned this morning, contemplated using my push mower for a particular yard, just because I felt like it was going to be quicker and easier for me to do it like that than to risk damaging the turf with my stander. You know, the yard has a pretty good slope in the back and the side, and it's a little wet from it being watered this morning apparently, but because it hasn't really rained that much lately, the ground is dry enough that it soaked up the water pretty quickly, so the ground wasn't soft and muddy, but the surface was wet, so it's easy to slip and slide on that if you're not careful. So I was really gonna do that, and then, you know, I convinced myself not to, and to just use my stander like I always have on there. And it's normally not a problem, but last week I tore it up a bunch with my stander because it was super wet for some reason. You know, I'm assuming we must have gotten some rain and or irrigation or whatever. It was just, you know, perfect storm, and the ground was just really soft. So I was just like tearing up grass all over the place. I sprinkled a bunch of grass seed all over it when I was done, and most of it's grown back now already, you know, a week later, so that's good. But I obviously want to avoid doing that as much as possible, because it's just, you know, that's just not being productive, and that's putting a bad taste in the customer's mouth and so on. But anyway, so I was more hesitant because of that experience too, and all season I've been using my stander on it fine. I go slow and careful, but apparently that didn't work out last week. Maybe I was going a little bit too fast, trying to rush a little bit, whatever, I don't know. But the bottom line is, it made me nervous this time around. So I'm like, you know what, I don't want to take any more chances. I don't want to tear it up anymore. You know, let me just use the push mower. I can knock it out super quick. But like I said, I forced myself not to do that and use my stander for a couple of reasons. And I made sure that I went extremely slow and was extremely cautious, and it took forever, you know, compared to how long it would normally take me, and probably took me longer than it would have if I just push mowed the whole thing. But here's the reason why I didn't do that, and this is for, you know, this is most beneficial for those of you that already have a zero turn or a walk behind, or planning on getting one in the near future and making that your main go-to mower. Because there's no sense having your most expensive mower, what's supposed to be your go-to most productive mower, sitting in your trailer or on the street while you're push mowing stuff. You know, I have my push mower for 2 yards, and that's it. You know, yeah, it does come in handy from time to time if something's a little wet, or I don't want to, you know, trim a whole section that I can't get to because it's too muddy, so I'll just get the push mower out and a couple of swipes and I'm done. But that's a real, you know, once in a while situation. But weekly, I use my push mower for about maybe a half an hour total for 2 yards. 2 yards to have nice landscaping in the back, and they have a second tier. They have a second level with grass. Small section of grass, maybe, you know, 20 by 20, a little less, a little more, something along those lines. Not a whole lot. It doesn't take very long, you know, 15-20 minutes max for one. And then the other one's even smaller, so it's less than that. So I mean, half an hour max of actual using that push mower. So I mean, that's less than what the average homeowner uses push mower for. So, but I have to have it because those yards are nice, they're profitable, and I don't want to turn it down just because I can't get up there with anything else other than a push mower, because you can only get there with steps. So you got to lift up the push mower, put it there, you know, knock it out, and you're done. That's the only reason why I use a push mower. I was about to violate that this morning and just go ahead and push mow the whole entire back, front, side yard, whatever, just knock it all out. You know, it's a small yard. It's probably like, you know, I don't know, if I had to guess, I don't remember offhand, I think it's 5,000 square feet, maybe less. I mean, it's a pretty small yard. It's probably closer to 3,000 or 4,000 square foot. It's a nice little small property, but it's not, you know, I realize that it's not about time as much as it's about your energy. It's about productivity. So like when you get a Velke for a walk behind, or you get a zero turn or a stander, it's not about speed. It's about productivity. Where you're saving time is in productivity, because as you walk all day long behind a push mower or a walk behind, you are tapping into your energy reserves and you're exhausting yourself. So you just get slower by the time you get to your last couple of yards. You just can't keep up with your push mower or your walk behind as much. You're super tired, and even if you are forcing yourself, because your walk behind goes a certain speed and you're forcing yourself to go that speed the entire time, when you get to trimming and you get to blowing, that's where there's nothing to set your pace. It's just all up to you. That's where you're gonna walk slower, and you're just gonna kind of, you know, lackadaisical blow stuff off or trim an edge, and maybe find yourself checking your phone or looking off at something. You find yourself more easily distracted, all these things, because you are tired. You're exhausting yourself, so your mind isn't able to focus as much and keep you on the money and make sure everything stays productive and quick and efficient. So, and it all starts with the mower. That is where you spend a large portion of your energy, is with the mower, if you're walking behind it all day. So that's why if you have a zero turn or a walk behind with a Velke on it that you can stand on and let it pull you all around, then those are the things that you need to utilize every single yard if possible. That is your goal, because you will not be tapping into your energy reserves. So my point is, it took me, so in summary, it took me longer to mow that yard on my stander because I went super slow and cautious, and it made me have to think everything through, approach things differently than I normally do. Okay, I'm not going to do any kind of three-point turns if I can help it in certain sections. I'm just going to go forward and then backwards, forward and then backwards, forward and then backwards. We're just a littlest, you know, angles so that you can work your way up or down a section or across a section, you know. Going up the hill and just backing down it slowly, right? Then going back up the hill, then backing back down it slowly. Going back up, backing down it slowly. Whatever it is, because going side to side is creating little ruts little by little, so you want to avoid that. So you have to go up and down sooner or later, but you want to stay reversed when you're going down. So you know, you don't want to go up and turn around and go down forward, because that's just going to be a nightmare, especially if it's wet in the least. And even if it's not, your wheels are going to bite in there, your tires are going to bite into the grass and rip some of it up, and then even if you don't slide, you've just damaged the grass. So you don't want that either. So you always want to go up and then back down, go up and back down. You know, you obviously still want to be careful, because you can tip up if it's too steep of a slope, so you might only, your option may only be side to side, and you're just going to have to try and alternate it so that you're not going in the exact same tire ruts every single time. So these are the things that you have to think through, and you have to force yourself to do that, because you need to stay productive. I need to stay productive, and I'm not even tired yet because I was on my stander the whole time. So yes, it took me longer, but if I just knocked it out with my push mower, I'd already be starting to feel a little bit more tired, or a little bit tired, because I don't feel tired at all. So, you know, just think of it, you start the day at 100% energy reserve, you know, for argument's sake, and as soon as you start walking, whether you're trimming, blowing, push mowing, whatever it is, you start tapping into that energy reserve. So sometimes, in some, you know, some instances, like in my case, I could go a half an hour, 45 minutes of the beginning of my day without even tapping into that energy reserve, because I have a bunch of yards all next to each other, and I'm just standing on my mower, and I'm just flying through slow and steady, or fast if it's nice and dry and they're nice open yards. Regardless, I'm just mowing all the yards, however long it takes me, half an hour, 45 minutes, maybe an hour in some case, some neighborhoods, or whatever it is, and I haven't even tapped into my energy reserves yet. And then I put my you know, my stander back on the trailer, and then I get my trimmer out. Now I'm starting to tap into my energy reserves. Now I'm starting to feel it, especially on these super hot sunny days, and the humidity is high, so the heat index is just destroying your energy levels automatically. So even standing on the stander, you are still tapping into your energy reserves, just because of the humidity, and the heat index is so hot this early in the morning that you're already starting to sweat and get tired. So that's even more of the reason not to tap in your energy reserves by push mowing, when you can just force yourself to stay on your zero turn and just go super slow. So, you know, short story long, as usual, I took longer. I didn't time myself, but I can imagine I took longer to take care of that yard, but I have more energy because I didn't push mow the whole thing. So I didn't tap into that energy reserve. So now I have more energy to get me through the day, and I will be more productive. Because if you push mow, you know, the first couple yards, you're like, you know what, forget this. I can push mow this a lot quicker than messing around on my zero turn or whatever. Let me just knock this out real quick with the push mower. Now you've tapped into your energy reserve, and you might not feel it first thing in the morning because you're like, you know, you're all gung ho and ready to go. But over the course of the day, that is going to become an issue, because if you're at 100% and say you just knocked it down 10-15%, say you knocked it down 20%, push mowing a couple of yards first thing in the morning, and this heat index and everything's just killing you. Now you're down 80% right off the bat, starting off, you know, a couple hours, you know, into your day, where if you forced yourself to be on your zero turn, you know, until you had to trim and edge and blow, which only maybe would reduce 5 or 10% at the most, you know, you'd be at 90% energy reserve still at that same point that now you're at 80 or 75%. You see what I'm saying? So over the course of the day, that the time that you made up push mowing in the morning is all going to be negated by the end of the day, because you are now going slower because you're so exhausted. And so that's why forcing myself to be on my number one mower, my zero turn, my grandstand, and going super slow, I'm actually getting ahead and making up time throughout the day because I'm not even tired yet. And I took my time trimming instead of rushing through it, because it's going to compound and it's going to make up by the end of the day, where most people or I would be tired because I'm push mowing a bunch of stuff or walking behind a walk behind with no Velke for a bunch of yards. That wore me down more, and I would be going slower by the end of the day, where now I'll just be consistent the entire time. You can finish quicker because you stayed productive the whole time. So that's where the time comes in. That's where you make more money, and that's where you feel better, quite honestly, physically and mentally and emotionally, because you get done sooner, you feel more productive, you know, you feel like you made more money, you're more profitable because you took less time to do stuff, and so on.